See, you can fool the world, but you can't fool, not me. I'm trying to say that you kept lying to Nipsey and about Nipsey, talking behind his back. And he got tired of it and he confronted you. See, Nipsey broke your jaw, had it wired, blacked your eyes. Dead on.
Me and Nip.
Good.
If I said that, nah, me and Nip, we had a fight, but that wasn't shit.
His dad was right there. His dad know my love for Nipsey. He know my love for Nipsey, and they know that I'll never be. But it basically was like, you rocking with him? Like, you rocking with him? I'm rocking with my brother.
Aside from being labeled a snitch in the ongoing Operation Drawdown case, Bricc Baby's name has always found its way into some kind of drama. But there was one time he really took things up a notch, trying to go toe-to-toe with Nipsey and his brother Black Sam. Let's just say, it didn't exactly go in his favor.
You ran into Black Sam and a bunch of people around him.
Yeah.
And they approached you.
Well, I approached them.
You approached them?
Yeah. It was quick little, me and Sam had a disagreement.
See, folks already know Nipsey and Black Sam aren't the type to walk away from a face-off. Nipsey especially had a rep for standing 10 toes down when it came to disrespect, and Black Sam, just as solid. There was even a time he went head up with Big U himself, but maybe Bricc Baby didn't get the memo.
Even if Eric Holder was a snitch, and I don't know if that's what the conversation went, but why even talk about that with this peon? He's a peon. He coming over there to take a picture with you.
Let's get into it. Nobody really talked about or even knew that Bricc Baby and Nipsey had gotten into a fight until Bricc let it slip during an old episode of No Jumper sometime back. But yeah, turns out it actually happened. And it wasn't recent either. It went down in 2014.
We was arguing for 2 hours and we just like, where you at? Should pull up. We just get it out the way. We was both of us was but our ego. We paused with the butt, but our egos was in the way. And you know what I mean?
You fought Nipsey in what year?
This was 2014.
Okay.
2014.
The whole thing came up while people were deep in conversation about the wild conspiracy theories surrounding Nipsey's death in 2019. As you'd expect, a bunch of names were thrown around. Big U, Eric Holder, and a few others made it into the mix. Now, during that interview, Bricc Baby mentioned that a lot of folks were saying Nipsey had gotten into a fight with someone just a week before he passed, and some even believed that the fight might have played a role in what eventually happened to him. But Bricc wasn't buying into that theory.
You said he's 5'5" and scrawny, and Nip beat him up and all of this.
According to him, he didn't think Nipsey had any real beef with anyone that close to his passing. And weirdly enough, he added that the only person who kind of fit the description being tossed around, aside from the whole week before detail, was actually him.
The only short guy named Shady that ever fought Nipsey was me. And it definitely wasn't a week prior I was in jail.
It sounded off, like really off. And he didn't just leave it there. In another No Jumper episode, he doubled down and flat out said he had squabbled with Nipsey.
Me and Nip.
Good.
If I said that, nah, me and Nip, we had a fight, but that wasn't shit. Both that showed up to fight, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we got in the ring. We wasn't just running our mouth.
Thing is, he didn't admit to losing the fight. He painted it like it was just a little scuffle, but word spreads fast. And even though not many people knew about it back then, it didn't take long before folks started calling him out. One of the loudest voices, Luce Cannon. Yeah, kinda ironic now considering they're reportedly real close in the same cell block these days.
Luce Cannon, he was arrested in, I think he was in Las Vegas, and he just got extradited back to Los Angeles and he's locked up. And he revealed that him and Bricc Baby actually are cellmates.
Yeah.
But back then, Luce went straight for the jugular, called Bricc a snitch, said he was sneak dissing Nipsey behind his back, and claimed Nipsey, being who he was, stepped to him about it, no hesitation.
See, you can fool the world, but you can't fool, not me. I'm trying to say that you kept lying to Nipsey and about Nipsey, talking behind his back. And he got tired of it and he confronted you.
Luce didn't hold back. He straight up said Bricc knew he was capping. And the reason Luce even chimed in at all was because apparently he was there, or at least knew exactly what went down. They're all from the same set, so it wasn't some random outsider throwing shade. This was in-house. And to really drive his point home, Luce said he had receipts, claimed he had proof of how it all happened, how Bricc got rocked, left bruised, and basically how Nipsey handled him. No mercy.
See, Nipsey broke your jaw, had it wired, blacked your eyes.
Now, here's the part that had people raising eyebrows. Some folks had been side-eyeing Bricc Baby for a while, thinking he'd always been low-key envious of Nipsey. There was even a comment floating around Reddit that summed it all up. The user said something like, "Bro, this dude had so much envy for Nip being the face of the 60S, and you can tell from the way he moves around Cowboy and any other rapper reppin' Rollin 60S. He out here trying to be the guy that certifies you're crippin' fuck out of here. Wild." So while some of that might sound like internet gossip or hearsay, the tension eventually turned real, like Bricc Baby versus Black Sam Real. And if you know the streets, you know Black Sam isn't the talker, he's the enforcer. Doesn't say much, but everybody knows he stands 10 toes down. The drama started cooking after Black Sam heard Brick's interviews where he was talking like Nipsey's death could have been avoided, as if Nipsey was at fault. But what made it worse was the way he sounded, like he was indirectly justifying Eric Holder, the dude who actually killed Nipsey.
Even if Eric Holder was a snitch, and I don't know if that's what the conversation went, but why even talk about that with this peon? He's a peon. He coming over there to take a picture with you.
And everybody already knew Bricc and Eric had history, so when he said what he said, it just confirmed what people had been whispering. Then came the moment. Both Sam and Bricc ended up at the same spot, an event put together in Nipsey's memory. Everything seemed cool at first, no drama, until Bricc claimed he stepped up to Sam. And from there, all hell broke loose. It got physical, real fast. People were yelling, trying to break it up. Looked like Bricc was getting pressed hard. But Bricc wasn't about to let it slide like that. He told his side, said he approached Sam and the man didn't say a word. Just swung. No talking, no warning, just hands. And while most people started saying Sam handled him and sent him packing, Bricc tried to flip it, saying that Nipsey and Sam's dad stepped in and shut it down. Not because Bricc was losing, but because Pops knew Bricc had real love for Nipsey when he was alive.
How about this? When we were fighting and Nipsey's dad saying who he was fighting, he like, that bro, what the you doing? Like, this is y'all brother. Like, what the are y'all fighting for? They know my love for the family. They know for sure that I would never in my life participate or give a person a pat on the back for killing my boy.
Of course, it's Bricc Baby we're talking about. His name's already so stained, nobody really took him seriously. Luce once again took it a step further, saying Bricc could never stand off with Sam to begin with. And with everything we know now, that doesn't sound far-fetched at all. If you look closer, Bricc has never exactly kept his hands clean. Let's even ignore the fact that he's facing charges right now. It's wild how far he's fallen, considering where he came from. In a sit-down with Cam Capone, Bricc actually admitted that he went to private school and his mom. She's been riding for him forever, even when he first started getting into trouble. But even with that support, the streets just kept calling his name Dot. By the time he was 17, he was already catching cases left and right. The paper trail goes all the way back to 2009, but
one of the factors they said was his criminal history, meaning, yo, since like 2009, bro, like dude has been in and out of jail.
Things really took a turn once he got involved with the Rollin 60s. Now, this current case, it's opened up a whole can of worms. Not just about the Rollin 60s, but about Brick's role in everything. 600 actually said sometime last year, before anyone knew Big U was about to get caught up, Bricc already gave him a heads up. Told him to keep his distance from Big U, like he knew what was coming. Basically, he painted Bricc as a snitch, which kinda tracks with what's already been floating around. Then recently, word got out that there was some drama behind bars involving Big U, Luce, and Bricc Baby. It all started after Luce and Brick's folks jumped on a phone call that went viral. They were saying they'd been trying to get in touch but weren't hearing back.
Hey mama, did you hear anything from them? Are you for real? So Bricc hasn't called you either? Nope. What the is going on?
The tension was real, and for a minute it felt like something major might have gone down. But then Luce eventually got through to his people and laid out what really happened. According to him, there was a fight in jail involving him, Bricc, and a few other Rollin 60s.
Luce Cannon and Bricc Baby got into a fight in their cell, and one of them had to roll it up and leave.
Apparently, things popped off right after court. Luce said he ran into someone he considered an op, and it escalated fast. Like, real fast. The fight got broken up, but that wasn't the end of it.
Basically, I walked in after court, and it was like, what's up, why you keep calling out this and this and this? I'm like, calling who, saying what? Like, I said, the right? I'm like, so what? What's going on? What you want to do? Right? We're going to get in. So I got off on him. Boom, bam, boom, bam. And I'm like, take that with you, sweetheart.
When they got back to their unit, they ended up locked in with the same dudes they just clashed with. So yeah, things went left. Fists were flying, tempers were high, and it got so out of hand the whole jail went into lockdown. It was that serious.
No, what happened?
Got into it.
Who?
Blue.
Huh?
Blue saying Big U, me and Bricc.
Luce didn't drop any names, but people started connecting the dots. Some think it was Luce and Bricc against Big U and some other Rollin 60s. Others think it was Luce, Bricc, and Big U actually on the same side going at it with someone else. That theory picked up steam when rumors started floating around that all three were sharing a cell. But honestly, nobody really knows for sure yet. Luce Cannon and Bricc Baby ended up getting caught in the crosshairs of Operation Drawdown, a major federal sweep targeting the Rollin 60s neighborhood Crips. Bricc was picked up in LA around March 19th, 2025, while Luce got snatched in Vegas and later transported back to LA to face charges in the same case.
Luce Cannon, he was arrested in, I think he was in Las Vegas, and he just got extradited back to Los Angeles, and he's locked up. And he revealed that him and Bricc Baby actually are cellmates.
Yeah.
Early on in the conversation, Luce mentioned that he and Bricc have been tight ever since they got arrested. And not just tight, they've actually been sharing a cell, which makes everything even messier. Funny enough, Bricc even hopped on the call briefly and gave his own 2 cents about the situation.
Jay Reed, fine, man. We ain't in too deep with no Jay Reed, man. We right here turned up, beat up, man. It ain't no, man. You know what I mean?
Now, with all the buzz and pressure surrounding this case, folks are starting to think Luce and Bricc might be holding back on some details. Some people even think the reason Bricc is still moving around so freely is because he might not be as deep in the RICO as Big U and Luce. Right now, Brick's only facing a gun charge, which, let's be real, is light compared to the full-blown RICO storm they're caught in. And just to give it some background, things really started heating up after Luce and Bricc appeared on the No Jumper podcast. Luce said something wild. He hinted that Big U might have had a heads up about Nipsey Hussle's murder.
My statement is Nipsey wasn't his brother. Nipsey wasn't like his son. He keeps claiming that he's putting that energy in the air when he didn't Nipsey and Nipsey didn't with him.
That alone stirred the pot heavy. Big U ended up filing a cease and desist against No Jumper. And now, according to Adam 22, the feds are digging into that exact episode. They even asked for the letter Big U sent as part of their investigation.
I think they questioned No Jumper over a cease and desist that Big U sent to Adam because he had that guy Luce Cannon on who was saying that Big U set up Nipsey to get killed.
By now, the whole world knows. Big U and a bunch of his Rollin 60s crew got caught up in a major federal takedown. The feds have supposedly been on it since 2021. And when it was all set, they came hard, charging over a dozen people, including Eugene Big U Henley himself. We're talking serious allegations: racketeering, extortion, fraud, and even murder. Authorities are now calling it a mafia-style operation. According to the feds, after years of building a case, they're now pointing straight at Big U for the cold-blooded and murder of a young rapper named Rayshawn Williams. The story? Crazy. They say it all started over some disrespect. Rayshawn was shot in the face and dumped in the Las Vegas desert. And this wasn't just some random guy. Rayshawn was signed to Big U's label, Unique Music. He was actually working on a project with one of Big U's producers. Big U had planned the whole Vegas trip, the Airbnb, travel, studio time. The whole setup was his. Rayshawn landed in Vegas on January 19th. At first, it seemed like everything was going smooth, but he missed a couple of studio sessions. He told one of Big U's people he'd make up for it the next day. Instead of making up for lost time, though, he hit the booth and laid down an unreleased diss track. Cops later found that track and think it was aimed directly at Big U.
Smoke the dope, but what I'm worried about. On all that talking, he's the one who clout, so I'ma pull up to his crib.
Of course, word got back to Big U. Between that track and the missed sessions, tension started brewing. A few days later, on January 23rd, Big U and his guy Sylvester allegedly drove from LA to Vegas. They pulled up around 2 a.m. on the 24th. That same night, Big U shows up at the Airbnb and checks Rayshawn about skipping the studio. Rayshawn says he didn't have a ride. One of his boys was there and heard everything. Later that night, around 9 p.m., Big U pulls up at the studio. Rayshawn comes in around 11, records until about midnight. Big U dips at 12:37 a.m. in a gray sedan. And this is where things get sketchy. That gray sedan suddenly disappeared. Big U's phone went dark just before 1 a.m. Last ping was right near the studio. At 1:13 a.m., a camera picks up that same sedan pulling up to the Airbnb. Rayshawn walks out with a suitcase, tosses it in the trunk, hops in, and that's the last time anyone saw him alive. He didn't return. The Airbnb was still booked, and his flight wasn't until the next day, but he left like he had no plans of coming back. Then Big U's phone magically starts pinging again at 2:15 a.m. By 2:30, he's back at the studio. Same car, alone, soaked in sweat.
When this alleged murder of the rapper happened that they're blaming Big U for, I guess they're saying that U turned off his phone, you know, like before that he went, and then he turned it back on when he got back to the studio. You know, that's evidence against him as well. That he's doing that, you know?
He tells security he just got back from the gym. Then, around 9 a.m., Rayshawn's body is found dumped in a ditch off the I-15. He'd been shot multiple times, and it looked like he'd been dragged.
Mr. Henley engaged in a murder of a musician signed to his label in 2021 and dumped the victim's body in Las Vegas off of the I-15 freeway.
DNA on his ankle wasn't a perfect match, but it didn't rule Big U out either. And here's where it gets weirder. Just days later, Big U has all the studio equipment pulled out and wipes the surveillance footage. Even made the security guard step out while it was happening. Investigators think that footage might have caught a fight between him and Rayshawn that night. On January 27th, Rayshawn's aunt called Big U after hearing what happened. He told her he hadn't seen or heard from Rayshawn. She also told cops that Big U used to check in with her weekly. But after that call, total silence. And here's the thing. Everyone who knew Rayshawn, from family to friends, all point fingers at one man. They all believe Big U had something to do with it. There's been tension between Big U and Nipsey Hussle for years, and some folks believe that old beef might have had something to do with how Nipsey's story ended. This wasn't one of those out-of-nowhere things either. If you rewind back to around 2011, stuff was already bubbling. There was that infamous situation near Crenshaw and Slauson, right behind a Shell gas station in Hyde Park. Word is Nipsey and Big U got into a serious argument that turned into a scuffle. Nip's brother, Black Sam, ended up firing a shot in the air, probably just trying to calm everything down. But before anyone could make sense of it, LAPD rolled up, and one of the cops actually fired at Black Sam. Didn't hit him, but still, wild moment. That whole scene had people looking sideways, realizing this wasn't just regular street drama. Something deeper was going on between Nip and Big U. Then came the label stuff, the money tension, and everything started spiraling. Word on the street was Big U was trying to strong-arm Nipsey financially, and Nipsey wasn't going for it. Eventually, it all blew up. No more communication, no peace talks. Nipsey even dropped a diss track that made it pretty clear that bridge was burned for good.
You don't got a clue for what you want to do. I'm busy getting rich. You think that I'm gonna stop for you?
From that point on, it seemed like Big U was always applying pressure. There were even stories about how he allegedly sent some of his people to check Nip when DJ Khaled visited the neighborhood.
But there was a lot of big politics getting into it with certain people. You know, Hussle had DJ Khaled in the hood, and Hussle frontline that.
And then came the moment that shook everything. Nipsey Hussle was gunned down by Eric Holder, who was known to be part of the ROLLIN 60s. That alone had people talking heavy. Rumors started flying, with some folks saying maybe Big U had something to do with it, maybe even made the call. Nobody knows for sure, but the whispers never really stopped. And sadly, it didn't end there. Even after Nipsey passed, it felt like the pressure didn't let up on his people. A recent video surfaced showing what looks like gang members robbing Nip and Black Sam's dispensary on 4th Avenue. In the footage, one guy walks in acting like he's just shopping, real chill. Then out of nowhere, another guy walks up and pulls a gun on the clerk. That clip only added more heat around Big U's name. Whether he was directly involved or not, people are connecting dots. And with this new federal case, it might finally be the moment everything either comes to light or gets buried forever. But here's another angle. Big U hasn't exactly been quiet about how he moves. He's been real vocal over the years about rappers needing to check in when they come into certain cities. Interviews, podcasts, he said it loud and clear.
But other dudes do got to. And I'm just gonna keep it 100. And just imagine this though. If another crew pull up in you guys' area and they ain't checked in with none of y'all, you gonna feel some kind of way.
Yeah. There are even clips of him straight up warning people what could happen if they don't check in. And now, a lot of folks are starting to ask the hard questions, like, are all these robberies, assaults, and even rapper deaths somehow tied to that mindset?
Anytime you wanna do movies in the hood, just check it in. We can make sure it's done, movies, videos. But if you don't check it in, oh well. We're gonna check you in, all right? We're gonna check in all of your equipment.
Take PNB Rock, for example. After he was killed during a robbery in LA, people started wondering if there was more to the story. Some even pointed at Big U. And when he was asked about it, he didn't really shut it down. Instead, he said he always checks in when he travels, and kind of hinted that maybe PNB should have done the same.
We in LA. Yeah. When I go to Chicago, I respect Chicago. Wholeheartedly. I check in. When I go to Atlanta, I check in. And I don't think nobody is safe. I know dudes right now from LA who are actual gang members who have been robbed for their jewelry.
As the case unveils, Bricc Baby's reputation in the street is already on the line. Whether he makes it out this time or not, his sheets cannot be wiped clean in street whispers.